possibility.
Niburi kiremwa muntu reka umutima wawe wuzure ubumuntu herega icyo waremewe kuba umuntu nyawe biharanire.
Je viens vers vous comme l'esprit de l'humanité, mélodie, laissez-moi vous les faire découvrir. Ubumuntu kuri twese niyo nkingi yo kubaho neza, kubaharanira bizatuma duhindura isi be paradizo.
Hata mawimbi yakiza.
What's going to happen to Brexit? No, to Brexit.
I don't know. I think that's where everything started going downhill. Where everybody, they promised that it would be better and there would be more money in the NHS, but everything's worse. Everything's so much more expensive. Even small businesses, it's too difficult to do trade with Europe. So it's really more expensive. I think when they voted it was half and half.
Yeah.
But now, since it's happened, people realise that they're not getting what they were promised.
So what happened with that drama of that other woman who was in for like few hours? Why did she?
I don't know what she did. She came in, made some changes which caused everybody's interest rates to go up. And
Like in one day?
yeah, well, I think she was in what, a couple of days, 3 or 4 days, and then she got out. So
That was.
she's managed. Yeah, it's amazing how much
But now,
damage
is
she's
she
done.
is she getting the package that all the prime ministers? Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
What is it? What they call it? How much thousands of pounds just being.
Sure, now for the
And
rest of
our
her life.
final speaker is here, so we'll start in the next 2 minutes. Daniel? Micro.
Yakikuwa tavuka kwa neema, kono kwa kono, tukitembea sote mahali wimbo za upendo zati wa juu.
Like a shadow, this walks with me. I saw it, I felt it, it made me mighty. It lives with me, it lives with you. It lives with me, it lives with you. In this land we call home. Neza y'umuntu ituruka mu mutima we, ntibicariwe imana wamba ntugutuma amahoro, ikiganza mu kindi, tukaririmbana indirimbo y'amahoro.
Let's love and help each other, 'cause we only need, give a sense of humanity. As I sit and watch time pass by, my soul cries for songs of love. One world, one for all, a reason to live, a reason to be. Yeah.
Ubumuntu.
Sense of humanity.
Everybody's mics are on. Do you see the green light? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for making time to this roundtable discussion with my fellow brothers and sisters on the same table. We've worked together in different capacities, and we're not going to waste much time. We'll make this interesting, short, and very conversational. So just to kick off, I would like Brother Philip on my left, because I've said your name already. Introduce yourself and what you do.
Okay, I am Philip Luswata. I teach theatre and film at Makerere University, but mostly also I am a performer over 30 years, and I perform with a group called the Playwrights Playhouse, we thought we would become a group of actors for playwrights, but we've never seen playwrights come to give us their work. So we are actors who are creating our own work, and we create our work at a place called Wava Theatre.
Okay.
So yeah,
All right.
I'm a 30-year veteran.
Ah, great. Thank you very much, Philip. Zanula, I'll say your names. Yeah.
I'm Sanula Eleftheriadis. I'm from the UK. I'm a dance artist and I've been doing that for about 25 years. I teach older people, I teach from 2 years old to 92 years old, so very big age range, mixed abilities, special needs, community groups, all people. And it's about, for me, it's about making creative connections and finding where people can meet in the arts.
Thank you, Zen. Brother Sfiso.
My name is Sifiso Kweyama from South Africa. I work with Jazz Art Dance Theatre. I am the head of training program at Jazz Art. The company basically, it's an African contemporary dance company. We have two components, the training program and the professional side. I'm responsible for the training of all the guys that are brought here.
Wow.
So they basically all came under my wing, and then they graduated to become company members.
How many years in the industry? Because we have another veteran and the other veteran there.
I think this, oh God, my maths is very bad, but let's go back to 1989. That's when I started.
I was 9 years old. Anyway, Sister Hope, over to you.
Yeah, my name is Hope Azeda. I'm a playwright and a theatre director. I also wear sometimes a cape of casting director for different films. I've cast film, sometimes in April.
Yeah.
But in Woolpack, one of the films about Rwandan genocide. I also curated the Ubumuntu Arts Festival, but most important, I'm also a professional dreamer.
Oh,
yeah.
Awesome. That's nice. So to kickstart our conversation, before we go into the deeper stories, fun fact, one greatest fun fact you have heard from an artist. Could be an excuse that I missed a flight or something. Tell us, anyone, randomly. Fun fact.
I think for me it was one when they said, how long, I called them to ask them, how long is it going to take you? They said 2 minutes, and then they show up 2 hours later. So, and I'm like, okay, what was that? 2 minutes, were you coming by flight? Or I just got confused. I mean, 2 minutes and 2 hours are two different things. Yeah, for me that's...
All right. Interesting time, African time as we call it.
That's a very deep question because for me, I have had so many.
You can write a book about
I
it.
think I swim in them. I swim in them. I wouldn't be able to isolate anyone, but maybe the one which I could say is is this guy who shows up nearly a day late, and there's no problem. There's no problem.
He just shows up.
He shows up and gets into the flow of things as if it's normal. It's okay. And you try to look from where to start attacking him. You also can't see because he has come.
That's interesting.
But otherwise, if you're doing art in East Africa, you're doing art within excuses. Anything that's not an excuse is the exception.
Wow, interesting. Zanula?
Yeah, same, lots of excuses, especially in community groups. Maybe don't understand the importance of being there until after the first performance. But I can remember when I was at dance college in Leeds in the UK, and we had to make time to go out to party and then be in college for about 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. So this morning it was a contemporary class, and my friend, she didn't make an excuse, she came into the class. We were sat in second position on the floor doing floor work. 8, 8, 8, 8. Everyone else came up. 8, 8. Second position, and then luckily the teacher was like, just leave her, just leave her.
Wow. Interesting. Brother Sfiso.
I don't know whether this is funny, but I was working in another province, I won't mention the name, in South Africa though. And this person said to me, wrote an email to say that she is not well, so she's at home. Because I was also training there, I was also training the dancers there, I had to go and buy something at the mall. When I got to the mall, we still had movie theaters before COVID, just a long time ago, so around 2013. I see this lady standing on the queue waiting to buy tickets to the movies. She's supposed to be in bed at home.
Sick.
And I didn't say, sick. I didn't say anything. I just bought my stuff. I went back to work. Following day, I said, hey, so how are you doing? She said, no, I'm feeling much better now. I just laughed. I couldn't say, I was like, okay, it's fine. That's how life is now.
I think some of us have been there, right?
But I think, let me share this one. Because everyone has been late 1 hour or 2 days, but I had a group that was late for 1 month. So I was
Late by a month.
by a month.
Wow.
I was hired to go and work with a community group, a theater group, a theater company, existing theater company in Juba, South Sudan. So we arrived there, they came, they were all very responsible looking people. We sat, we planned what we were going to do from the next day. So the next day I show up for the rehearsal, there's no one. The day after, there's no one. The day after, nobody is showing. So I go to this guy who had hired. I said, hey, Philip, you didn't know, you haven't read the newspaper. So I read the newspaper. These guys had flown out to London to do Hamlet, a play called Hamlet in Juba Arabic in London. And that was supposed to be a big excuse. It was supposed to be something big. I should have been even celebrating that I'm going to be in Juba for a month waiting for nobody to come. And indeed, we waited for a month.
Yeah,
So
that's
they
a
took
great-
us on a tour and said, now you go this side and see something, go and see something.
So that was communication breakdown, huh?
No.
Serious one.
Well, I don't know.
Interesting. Anyway, like I said, we'll delve into a lot of deeper conversations regarding your creative spaces and your genres. So to kickstart, I would love us to discuss your processes. I know some people dream, some people are inspired by social issues, economic, political. Some are given stories to create, be it choreography, be it theater, or be it a mixture of all genres. So tell us your processes. Anyone can start. I'm not going to point fingers now. It's a conversation.
The processes. I'll start. It really depends. Okay, we start working at 9 o'clock at Jazat. And it depends. If, let's say I'm given a theme to create a work, I'll start researching that on my own, but I like improvisation. So I like having dancers contributing to the work that I'm doing. Because I know what I can do. I don't want the work to end up looking like Sifiso. Now, I'm not bragging, but in reality, I'm very supple. So I end up, most of my work, kicking the legs, turning and doing that. So I always say now, bring your energy in. Let me see what you can do, give them a story. Okay, for instance, the piece we're doing here, I'm African. I ask the dancers, what makes you African? And they'll come back and say, no, because I'm black, because I'm, they said, no, that's not enough. What makes you African, really? And when they struggle, and then I go back and I'll go back to where were you born? Then it clicked. Oh, I was born here, and then they come back with their clan names. And you know, for instance, my how we say it at home, I'm Gweyama, so but we've got this whole long thing. It sounds like poem. So you mentioned
Please, can you repeat?
I know Wabulawayo is in Zimbabwe.
Of course.
Yes. Maybe there's a connection because of Mziligazi Kumalo who ran away from Shaka Zulu.
Of course, exactly.
So all of them, they come up with what makes them African. One guy, he didn't come with us. He mentioned how his father's cattle were killed by this white man, and the struggle they had and to move on. And he said because of that, of the power they had, the energy in the family, he realized he's a strong African man. So he brings that in the piece. Now these guys that are dancing here with me, they also bring in their thing. We've got colored guys here who talk about sitting around the fire. And this is, for him, that makes him African, because he sits around the fire, they eat this in the evening, sometimes they eat that, but he says it's in Afrikaans. Some of you might not have understood some of the stuff, so I allow them to speak their own language, because then they're able to, they're more comfortable, you know, when they speak their own language. And one who speaks Xhosa, she speaks her own language, and she begins by saying Tamago, which is a greeting way in Xhosa. And when you say Tamago, then you have to clap, and everyone must respond by saying Tamago. If you had to ask me to do it in Zulu, I'll go back to my rural, you know, and mention the mountains where I grew up in KZN in KwaZulu-Natal. And from there, I will then say, now improvise your journey as an African person. And then they start working on that. And my job is basically to direct a movement that you came up with. Okay. As long as you're honest, because at the end, your work, whatever you do, it needs to speak to the audience, because these are people who paid to come and watch.
All right, thank you very much. Sister Hope.
It's a very interesting journey, because I have always believed that life is an encounter, and so is art. It is that story I read in a newspaper. It is that conversation that finds a place in my heart. It's that movie, that film that finds a place in my heart, and once it places a question mark, I'm indebted to look for answers to that question. But sometimes it's not enough. So what I do, I throw it to different artists and say at our company, what do you think of this? What is the definition of home? I'll give an example, like even here, this memorial has been a very starting point for me for all the creative processes I've worked on. There is a short video I watched, about 5 minutes, and its title is Grace and Vanessa. So I was like, what is Grace and Vanessa? And when I watched the video, it was a documentary. It was Grace was a 9-year-old girl during 1994 genocide against Tutsi, and she was a Hutu girl who was raised by her grandmother. And when the war intensified, she saw her friends being killed, and every time she went to ask the grandmother what the problem was, she never got enough answers, and she would end up even failing to eat. As a 9-year-old girl, she fell to sleep. She could not eat food because she couldn't play with her friends. All her friends were being killed around her, and she didn't know what was going on. But at some point, then they fled to Congo. So on the way to Congo, she saw there were lots of bodies on the road. So she saw this woman lying on the road, breastfeeding a baby, about 3 months old. And then the woman called her, because she was in her last breath of life. And when Grace told her grandmother that, look, that woman is calling me, and the grandmother told her, leave her, she's a snake, she's a cockroach, don't go talk to her. But Grace, being a child, did not understand that language. And then Grace, like, you know how people are walking, like, that time they were walking thousands. She like escaped from that grandmother's space and went back to the woman. Because as a child, it stuck in her head. And then the woman looked at Grace and said, take my baby. If you survive, she will survive. And she died. And then Grace picked the woman, the baby, put her on her back, and picked a blood-stained cloth and carried her to Congo. Regardless of how the grandmother was always saying, don't do this. They threatened her. She was not treated well because of rescuing that baby. But later, in Congo, she looks after this baby. As a child of 10-year-old, whatever she knocked to look for food, she fed her baby. And then she named the baby Vanessa. But later they come back to Rwanda after the war, and she looks after Vanessa. Vanessa goes to school. So Vanessa grows not knowing who her real mother is. And Grace was always hiding her. So that is like the kind of story. For me, to cut the long story short here, the question was, if I was 9 years old, would I do what Grace did? Or is there a hero in us that we never give space to be the hero? At what point do we feed our children prejudice? So now I'm haunted by these questions. Can I be Grace? How come she has grace and her name is Grace?
Grace, yeah.
So all these questions haunt me, like that scene of a dying mother with a breastfeeding a child and a child picking, and then it just starts also answers the question that not every Hutu killed, not every Hutu is evil, not every, there are Hutus that were heroes who faced death to rescue people, and they are here remembered. So when it disturbs me, it's not, I get it, I just want to share it with people.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
now
yeah.
I called for a meeting to Mashirika. I found this film, I started talking about, and we started experimenting with the cloth, calling it the blood-stained cloth. We started experimenting, we started questioning, we started, how come Grace is Grace and Vanessa is Vanessa? So this is where the process for me starts. And we started experimenting with the cloth, with music, either everything becomes now art. But that's when, the moment I saw that film, a title came into my head. So I went to a playwriting class with Phil. And you know, in playwriting, you are supposed to write like the subjects. But for me, titles come in my writing space before. So at that moment, when I saw that film, a word spoke to me, Bridge of Roses.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, these two people are going to bridge. They're going to be the bridge of roses that will always, because we always bring roses to, you know, when we remembrance and all that. So Bridge of Roses just came like that. They are bridging communities, they are bridging generations. So this is what we shared, and then we, before we know, we have a production called Bridge of Roses.
Wow.
So like what you see in Generation 25 are spin-offs from those previous productions. So you find a girl with a cloth, and it's just from that scene.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting from the two of you is your processes are deeply rooted in societal issues that are real life stories. Wow. Anyway, I'm going to Swata.
I was hoping to be last. Well, I don't know. In my experience, I do not think there is a method that really defines me at this point. Earlier on in my career, I was really very attached to what I was doing. I was really very passionate, very driven. I used to look at this really as my first thing, where every day wake up in the morning at your freshest and start creating, because we used to put, when we joined the industry, art used to be in the evening after you.
By the way, before I forget, they are former classmates in uni. By the way, yes, they are former classmates.
Yeah,
and it shows the strength of a deeply rooted friendship.
yeah.
Because both of you are mentors to me as well, and to a lot of youth out there, though I'm no more youth. And yeah, just to let the audience know and viewers back in their different spaces.
Yeah. So before, and I think we had a lot of energy that would change this tradition on those times of, you know, that I do theater after I have worked. And we're saying we're at the university studying this so that we can work. So this needs to be the work. So that was the drive at the very start. Wake up early in the morning, think, write great plays, whether it's going to go here or there, always looking for something to write about and writing it and putting the script aside, because you know at one time it's going to mature. Right now I'll write it not knowing what it's going to do, but I know at one time something is going to happen that will trigger this particular script that I wrote a long time ago to be relevant. So that's what it used to be, and it used to work. And maybe also the team I worked with in those days, we had decided that we'd do a 9 a.m. to 5, like people work. And we'd do it. Maybe it was because we were all around the same age, even with those guys I started with, but with time you get disillusioned in this art. And the process also now has kind of changed. Because now, instead of being the one to give the energy, I like to sit in a space and receive the energy. And the quality of product we are going to come up with is going to be based on the quality of the energy, the spirit we put out in the space. So these days I don't think I'm so frustrated. This is how we are able to create a new play every week, a new full-length play. Why? Because I stopped being judgmental.
Okay.
Right now I say, someone will come and we ask ourselves, what play are we going to do this week? And for those who don't know, we are doing 52 new plays in 2004. Full-length plays, and full-length in Uganda means no less than 2 hours. So, yeah.
Every week.
Every week, and we have a part 1 and a part 2. Part 1 on Saturday, part 2 on Sunday.
Wow.
2 hours each.
That's
And,
something that's commendable. Yeah.
we are on 30 now.
Wow.
Is it 30? 31 this weekend.
Wow. So Philip,
So
just to
before-
cut you short, with all these scripts that you write, we heard real life stories as
Yeah.
inspiration. Where does your inspiration come from?
The
Is it
inspiration-
fiction? Is it real life stories? What is it?
Well, our hope is that by the end of the year, if you see all 52 plays, you put them on YouTube, you're going to see, you might be able to tell the story of Uganda through 2004, because
2024, you mean?
2024, because there are instances where there's a lot of inspiration from around us, and you find that those stories will be around that inspiration. Then there's a time when I think Uganda there's nothing happening. Then you go to love stories, you go to stepmother murdering who. So it or someone was walking to. Sometimes there's nothing. So you are seated there saying, what do we do? Say, when I was coming, I found this woman. Where was she coming from? That becomes the story. Okay, now we have the woman here. Let's put the woman. What's going to happen to her? What do we want? Because if you're telling us about her, then she matters. So if she matters, we can always put some level of fiction around her, get a beginning and end, and then shape her out, and make sure she can drive us through part 2 as well.
Okay, interesting.
It works. It's sometimes it's the newspapers, but what I've seen, our greatest plays so far have been those plays that we've drawn from titles in the newspapers.
Okay.
So we try to buy the newspaper every day. Sometimes the newspaper is telling you nothing.
Sometimes
it speaks to you for 3 weeks.
All right. Thank you very much, Philip. Zen.
So I think my inspiration usually comes from using the art to make a small positive change, even if it's the smallest thing, just to find a way to help or to change the situation. So a project I did in the UK, I think it was 2019, there was, we were in mainly white area, and there's some mixed race children who said they were being bullied because of things that they'd taken in to eat in their lunchbox, traditional food. So I thought, okay, there's a company in London called Folk Dance Remixed, and they bring together all different cultural dances, mix it with the maypole, which is a traditional English dance, and celebrate cultural diversity. So I applied for some funding, and we worked with those kids to see all of the different backgrounds and heritages that were within that primary school. So parents came in and talked about their food or about clothes, whatever it was, and everyone shared their backgrounds and their ideas, and then from that we made a small piece. And then the professional company came in, and the children performed alongside the professional company. We also brought in a community group of older people and worked in a homeless hostel as well. So it was all different communities that wouldn't necessarily get to meet, interacting and sharing, working through the arts together. I think a lot of the time the media gives us a negative impression of certain groups of people, and then we're just stuck with that impression. So anything that can help to break down those barriers and create change in that way.
Awesome. It's interesting that someone once said the world is a big playground, it's a big stage. And you can hear from the different inspirations from all 4 of you. I just want to hear on the negative side, the challenges and how you overcome them during these processes. Because you mentioned sometimes there are no stories, but you create stories out of nothing. So it would be interesting to know how you encounter the challenges and how you counter those challenges creatively.
I think to start, as creatives we tend to be very fatalistic, which is to be expected. We are fatal thinkers. We are thinking about problems most of the time. And my problem becomes a very big hindrance to being able to work in the creative space. Why? Because I'm bringing all this baggage and putting it before everyone else. So one thing we try, and that's our biggest problem. I don't have transport. I didn't eat. My mother is sick. I am sick. I might be sick tomorrow. I don't know where my rent is going to come from.
The border accident.
As a creative, these are things that are going to be there. Whether you like it or not, you are going to carry them on your head. If tomorrow your landlord is going to send you out of your house, whether you like it or not, if you don't pay. And if I'm supposed to pay you and I don't have money to pay you, I will not pay you and you'll be sent out of your house. That's a given. You see, so for us, what we try to do, and I think it's the whole team, we've made it a point that when you cross the gate and enter into that space, leave your problems outside because I have bigger problems. I'm not paying you because I'm also not being paid. I'm also being sent away by someone. So, and I think it has worked for us where once you find yourself starting to open up about your problems, which is what we were talking about yesterday, the mental health. We're all mentally insane.
With a mental health challenge one way or the other.
So for us, you must cultivate a yes mentality. Yes, yes. So if a story comes, someone tells you this, some people come with very stupid stories. I will tell you, the stupidest ideas, if I come up with a stupid idea and you don't have, then my stupid idea wins.
It's the only idea on the table.
And the truth is that the funniest plays we've ever created, we created a story from a very stupid idea because the day has come. We don't have a play. So yes, everyone accept this is what we're doing. It was the funniest play that we didn't even know how to end. A point came where you go off stage, we find a way, start killing somebody, let someone go and die now because the play had taken, after everyone accepted it. When we rehearsed it, nobody was accepting it. It wasn't going anywhere. But after everyone said, yes, this is it, they're going to laugh at us or they're going to accept us, it got a life of its own. So I think it is the idea of cultivating a yes mentality, the idea of accepting that yes, we have problems, and the problems are artists. Leave your problems outside, come into the space and don't pull us all down with you.
So positive vibes. Create something from nothing.
Yeah, and that one is serious. That one is a very serious thing. Everyone reacts. You start telling them, I hit my leg.
You don't want negativity in the space.
Let me see your leg as we are going home. Let me see you limping. Then
After we finish the work.
But not before. Whether you're bleeding, go and bleed outside.
Wow.
But
Zenula, tell us. I have to cut Philip. I know it'll go on. Yes.
I think lack of funding is always a challenge, but I think that's worldwide, everywhere we are. One problem in where I'm based is, as a freelancer, you often feel very lonely. You're going in, doing the work by yourself, and giving out all your energy, and then nothing coming back. So to fix that, in the last few years, we've started a network of dance artists in the region, and we meet up once a month. We talk about problems, we talk about issues, and then we keep positive vibe going after them. And then also they've then provided days where we can go and be fed. So we'll go and do, someone else is teaching us, someone else is giving us workshops and things like that. So it's not always us giving. And then that way you can feel connected. So WhatsApp group, if there's any problems, you just quickly say, has anyone got this, has anyone got that? And it just feels like you're part of something rather than working by yourself.
Yeah. So it's like they say, be your brother's keeper, be your sister's keeper.
Yeah.
We're in this together.
Yeah, exactly.
Sister Hope, how do you handle challenges in the creative space?
Just by knowing life is about challenges, and those challenges are a source of creativity. We embrace them quite a lot, and I can just be different from my classmates. Feel we don't lock problems outside. We invite them, because that's how we create a safe space of empathy. And when we invite them today and tomorrow, they'll be finished, and then we are all good and connected. So we invite them in a way, in a specific way. We call them thorns. So what is your thorn today? The other dancers told one day, a dancer got me, said, my thorn is my stomach today. I'm like, oh, fine, that's just a thorn. To blossom into a rose, don't worry. So we make them look like nothing, other than keep them outside the door. But I understand also where people is coming from. We all have issues,
True.
But because of the kind of art we do, also trying to create the notion of art and caring. Because in most cases, you find that artists are expected to arrive, deliver, then become like just machines.
Robots, exactly.
And then before we know, mental health has walked into our space. And just dealing with the problem of fear, because you don't have like a stable salary, you don't even know whether you have a monthly salary. These are the jobs with monthly salaries. But just keep going, and they listen to the voice of each other that tells you to keep going. So mental health.
So resilience is key. Udwan,
I think they've covered everything actually. What I was going to say.
I will use Philip's mantra, create nothing.
But you give me a chance to do a disclaimer.
Yeah.
Bob Phillips said something. The platform you created yesterday, mental health. In South Africa, what I've noticed is that we're very different from the Gen Zs. They're called Gen Zs. It's like they have their own world. They are in a different space. I don't know, maybe when I grew up during, for me, that was during challenging times, during apartheid. And now everything for them is like, it's free, it's easy. You know, going back to South Africa, it's social media, everything is like on this thing.
Exactly.
And you know how tough it is to work with the Gen Zs. They get sick quite often. I'm like, what's going on? They're late. And they have the rights. That's another thing. They have the rights. No, I'm late, and you know.
They know their rights.
Oh, they know their rights. And I sit down and say, what's wrong with me? Why am I like this? I like time. So if you say to me 9 o'clock, it's 9 o'clock. I expect a dancer to be there 15 minutes before I arrive.
By the way, I went with Sifiso. He was my former choreographer and teacher. So I really know when he talks about a punctuality. I know.
And because I'm in a country where violence is sort of kind of a daily thing. And you're in a taxi, you're fighting with a driver over a change, like 2 rands or 5 rands. When you get to the studio, your head needs to be clear, and I'm working with the bodies here. I always say 15 minutes before I arrive so that you've got time to meditate and get rid of all that what happened. The minute I come in, it's my space. I need to see that body working. You don't come in at 9 o'clock exactly, when you still have that thing, whatever the driver said to you, because they can swear it, they give you, and it sometimes gets very challenging when I bring in older people like my age. I'm very young, I'm not that old, but they understand. It's the Gen Zs, man, yo. You know, on top of that, you've got the funding issue that you mentioned. And you cannot create a work not knowing whether I'll get the money. You have to wait until there's something, contract that says you're going to have the money for that. For instance, I don't know where I'll get money for the next year fabric production. Our money comes just before you start rehearsing, or sometimes you start rehearsing before the funding comes through. It adds the pressure to you, and you take that pressure out to the dancers. And these are the dancers who say, no. At home, they don't talk to me like that. Like,
they know their rights.
The rights. They know their rights. And of course, we have the right. That's why we have democracy in the country, which is another story, which the young people need to understand. What is democracy, so that it doesn't go to their heads. This space that we have, this is where we create work. That's it. We heal us. We heal people.
Definitely.
I always say to the dancers, we are everything. We educate, we heal, we entertain. The minute you go to that stage, make sure that your head is clear, is ready to tell the story, it's ready to perform. And your body, take care of that body, and make sure that the body it's an instrument. It's like your pen. If that ink doesn't come out, you don't have a pen. So if your body doesn't, if you don't eat properly, you won't be able to sustain your energy throughout the production. If you, we've got all these fake drinks now. We've got the Skol or Red Bulls and all of that, which is dangerous for the bodies. And artists like taking that. It's going to give me energy. You get that energy, after that you collapse. What is that doing inside you? For me, this is a big challenge, because they don't last long. They start giving up very easily in the art. No, this is not happening. And funding plays a big part, because the money that we get is very limited. We every year, every dancer that is graduated, any dance school wants to start a company, And the pool that the government has is just one bucket. It doesn't grow. Instead, it shrinks. Since we are sharing now the money, arts and culture with sport. So our minister, it's arts and culture and sport. If we get 2 billion rands on the budget, I can tell you that 1.25 of that goes to sport. And arts gets peanuts. And these dancers are expected to get something from this. And you want them to give 100% on stage. that puts a lot of stress in both you and your performers.
Wow.
So it's challenges are in everywhere.
Yeah, interesting. So when I hear we're facing all these challenges and there's a similarity, there's that vicious cycle. But at the end of the day, there are solutions because we see from your works, the productions you do, regardless of these challenges, beautiful work. What support systems do you have in your organizations or as individuals for you, because you are the healer? Like you mentioned, we are the healers, like we discussed in mental health. What internal support systems do you have for the people you're working with? The Gen Z who explode when you don't expect it, who go opposite the leaders. But at the end of the day, you deliver. What support systems do you have in place?
I'll just tell you that one challenge that we have found a way now with Jazz Art to deal with. Now, young people, what I think was missing in the topic yesterday is the spiritual calling that young people have, especially in South Africa. I've got young people now who've got this spiritual calling. You are performing and people go into trance. And as a choreographer or as a director, you need to know how to handle this. And some of them, you know, they'll perform and then they just carry on. The music's going, they're supposed to be changing maybe a movement to someone, they're just in a trance now. They're going somewhere else. Or when they leave, they get there, they collapse and they just go stiff. You don't know how to deal with that. These are challenges that we're having. So what we've done, every quarter, we bring in the sangomas. I'm not sure whether you're familiar with the sangomas. They are traditional
healers, yeah.
We have a platform. Every 3 months they come in, get experts on that, to advise us on how to deal with this when a data gets attacked by these colleagues on stage. And so this is something that we've just done in Jazz Art. I think we had 2 sessions now with different people. So every time we get that one, then tomorrow we get another sangoma. They say, no, this is how you deal with it. And also the important thing is that as a teacher, I need to find a way to get it out of you during a performance so that you are able to control it on stage. So now and then I do that with my dancers. I do exercises knowing very well where it's going to go, and I prepare myself. So we are in a building that has glass doors. I make sure the doors are closed, those glass doors, because you don't know, anything can happen. People can just run and jump off. So I need to be ready and prepare others. Guys, if this happens, so and so, let's just grab them. And you need to know how to calm the person down, because sometimes you have to talk to the person that has entered that particular body.
Whilst they're in trance.
Yeah, whilst they're in trance. So sometimes I would do that where I speak to the grandmother or grandfather. I'm talking to you, but I'm talking to this person. And I'm begging them, please leave this body. No, we're doing this. And then after that, once you come down, there are rituals that they have to go. I said, go home, speak to your mom. And when I get home, they tell them straight, no, I was supposed to do this. And so that spirit has come to you because I didn't want to deal with it. So it goes to another body. These are realities. In South Africa, I don't know whether that happens here, but those are things that we deal with every day. On top of family crisis, you know, economic crisis and all of that.
So you have so you also have, you deal with different mental health issues.
Yes.
So you have a wellness program for all of that.
We do bring in specialists, like psychologists, now and then to come and talk to the dancers. So we bring the traditional and we bring the Western method.
Okay.
Because you might think that you have ancestral calling, but find out, no, actually it's not that. You're just dealing with your home issues. It's a different thing. You know, so we try and balance it.
Interesting. Zanule?
So the young people that I work with, I'm part of a big organisation, so they have support from that big organisation to do with their physical health. So if there's an injury, there's physiotherapists that they can go and see. Since COVID, we've had a big youth mental health problem as well. So now if you're needing to go and see somebody for your mental health for a young person, I think in our area the waiting list is about two years long before you can see. So within those sessions, just small things like going around, how has your week been, how are you feeling, all of that kind of stuff. At least then they're getting to say something, speak out, and express a little something even. Because otherwise, when we first came back from COVID, everyone was very closed up and not wanting to talk about anything. So just little things like that. Giving people space, time out if they need 5 minutes out of the studio or whatever, just to regulate themselves and come back again. Also keeping things fun, like sometimes these are young people who are training to be professional dancers, so it's very technique, but if we could throw in a game or something just light-hearted, just to remember the joy of why they're dancing, because often it becomes serious and you forget that initial why am I dancing. So yeah, those little things.
Interesting. As you always say, Sister Hope, we forget to play.
Yeah.
This is where it comes to creating that safe space where you're an adult but you're able to play in the studio or within your friends. Please tell us.
Yeah, we play a lot. We play and we encourage people to connect to their inner child. The inner child that does not listen to questions. The inner child that does not question. And it's difficult. People have lost their children, their childhoods. And when we connect to the inner child, it helps us realize that we have walked away so far away from this child. Yet that child helps us be the creatives we are. If you don't have that spirit of that child, you cannot be innovative because you start asking yourself questions. So we encourage people to know that this is a place to make mistakes. This is a place just to get dirty. Whatever you do, we don't care, but make mistakes. But we also do check-ins, like how are you today? What is your thorn today? Can we check in? But then we always also use the letter writing technique. We just get isolated in silence and write letters. Anything that is drowning you. Personally, I really love a lot of silence. I just like to unplug and go somewhere quiet. So yeah, embracing silence as well, and just have a personal inner conversation, and just to engage to the level of introspective path. Just checking in.
Interesting. Hey, Brad.
Well, I'm hearing all these sweet things.
Do you want to give
but
us
I
something?
told you I wanted to do a disclaimer. Our radical approach, our approach is very radical, and you may hear it and think it could work for you. It might not. For us, it does work. It's radical, yes. We love each other.
Why do you say it's radical?
It is, because really I don't want to hear your problems, because I have many. And if you come to my creative space and start telling me about your dead grandmother, you're going to take me 2 miles back. And they are here. They are not far. Where are they?
Sure.
They are here. So I'm not just saying things that are sweet. And one of our biggest tests, people come every day, oh, I want to join your group. And we look at you and everyone will burst out laughing. Everyone, you not know why people are laughing. You think they are happy to see you. They're not. Because we've just seen it in your eyes, you're not going to manage. You're not going to manage, because we don't have the luxury. Each of us is self-funded to come into that space. When you come to when I tell you about owing you money, it's not that there's a salary, no. It's money we have lent each other to survive. I bought you lunch yesterday, now those problems of yours, take them out of the gate. Go and walk out of the gate, come back, sort your issues. Why? We do not have that luxury. We do not. We have 2 people who have quit because we don't have meetings. We don't have meetings. This one doesn't like me, this one doesn't like me. She called me, go! You not manage. If right now I'll tell you there's 4 guys there running the fort, holding fort. They are doing shows. They are doing a show. Today is Wednesday. They have a show. They don't give a damn whether we are there or not. If we have problems this side, they don't give a damn. They don't want us to tell us, to start asking them, are you guys fine? And it's a very special kind of person who comes and to us and actually stays. It's a very special kind, and the one who stays, stays. Why? Because that is, so for us, I do not think we do have any solutions. We don't get any funding. Our drive is one, that the show must go on. If I am left alone, each one of us here knows.
You will perform.
If you leave him alone, he'll do the show. Go, don't come back. Philip comes late. Philip, you come late. The story has already moved. The story has moved, Philip. People walk away crying that I wanted to be, I wasted time, I've come. Who told you to come? You would have stayed.
It's either you're in or you're out.
How many times have you guys sent me away? and I am saying I'm the star performer in this thing. People might want to see me. You've come late. The story has already moved. Now what do we do?
We can't fit you in.
People
No.
cry because for us being on stage, I am favored to be on a stage. It's a big opportunity to be able to act. It's a big opportunity. So for us, the bigger goal is that maybe if in the future people start caring about us and fund us, give us some money, maybe we shall have good manners. But as long as we are surviving on our feet, there's no space for manners, you have problems, go to your mother, talk to your mother, then come. Am I right?
I think that deserves a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. I think one of your projects will just be called Radical something.
And even the place, also one thing that I wanted to say, that Hope, 3 of my good plays, and that one I should have said at the beginning, 3 of my good plays were inspired by Hope. Hope calling me, what? I said, I don't have anything. Right, I told you about Kawaida and Zuri.
Yes.
I don't have anything in my head. It was her title even, not mine. I said, I don't have anything. I'm frustrated. I'm disillusioned. I hate this business. This is the worst thing I've ever entered. I've spent so many years. I was celebrating my 50th birthday, I think last year. And 50 years, and there's nothing to show for it. Nothing. I'm still fighting to pay fees. People my age are...
Yeah, I know the story.
And she gave me, she said, okay, that's what you should write about. I said, now that one also, I became so bright. I said, yes, that's my problem. Let me also pour out my problem. So maybe your method also worked on me.
Interesting.
Talking about problems is good.
No theater, no food.
But
Exactly.
Yeah.
No theater, no food.
Yeah.
Interesting. There's an issue that seems to be burning, and I know it's the issue of funding. And I would not want to preempt anything, but we come from different countries where South Africa, funding is available, but it can be limited, but it's available. UK, first world country, we know funding is available. But sometimes, exactly. Then tell us, challenges or successes on funding.
Uganda, Rwanda.
No, that's why I just looked. Because it will be radical. There will be some radicalness already. Because somebody spoke about they don't care about us.
Just stopped here and then you left.
Then I was like, That's interesting about the radicalism in it. We'll come back to you, don't worry. Tell us, Sister Opozenula, funding.
Yeah, so we have the Arts Council funding. There is funding there, but especially again since COVID, the funding's been cut a lot. So there's so many, like you were saying, so many companies, and the competition is so great. So it's very difficult still to get funding. And then when you're making an application, you have to show that you can get match funding. So maybe that's studio space or another organisation that will give you money. And it's very difficult, especially if you're a small company. If you've got like a big name, then usually those names keep getting funded over and over again. But for small ones just starting out, often you have to do years of doing it for the love and doing it for the pleasure. And
Like the radicalism.
yeah, and you might need to, and then eventually you might get, there's something happening there, and then you get the funding after that. So
Interesting.
it's difficult.
So,
I have learned and I've been wired to get used to words. Unfortunately, we regret.
yeah.
They become the artists we are. And like Philip said, the show must go on. There's no funding in these countries, like specifically for the arts. So how we do like the festival, for example, is like if we see like a fund, British Council is maybe funding like South Africa. I look for my South African friends, guys, there's this fund. So we keep exchanging that kind of information, but like here, right here, nothing. Nothing, and here we still thrive. So we really depend on those small grants British Council or the Growth Institute, but I saw this year I was like, no, I'm done receiving these grants of 1,000 euros, 2,000 euros. No. We'll do with that because I think they bring cases of just staying below the average of everything. Or
It makes you sort of a professional beggar.
You either become a professional beggar or you just move on and just get to know. But somehow we target like different grants around, moving around, and if you're lucky you get it. If you don't, you still move on. But how we also get funding is that sometimes we get commissioned to do good jobs. Like maybe the Rwanda Development Board or whatever, they commission us to do some environmental program, and that one we'll make sure that we make sure we pay rent for our space. So like when we get commissioned to do, as mashirika, of course.
Commissioned work.
Commissioned work.
Yeah.
But these days after COVID, there's not much commissioned work. I think everyone is recovering. I don't know whatever came with those vaccines, froze funds.
So basically, sort of, we're in a survival mode. So
Exactly.
hand to mouth funding.
Thriving mode. We try to
Thriving.
become positive.
Yeah.
Well,
Brother Phil.
This is going to be my shortest presentation. One time we had problems at the theater there, and we had one of the
Which
girls,
theater, by the way?
Wava Theater. National Theater, we cut it out of our lives. So Wava Theater, and we had one of the girls, after she had listened to the challenge, going into her phone to check for an ex-boyfriend who might receive the call, so that the problem can be solved. So that's our funding.
Wow, so you have blessers.
Chair bless us, check in your phone if there's an ex-girlfriend who might respond. That's all. Otherwise,
So tell me, from all these 50 shows that you're preparing throughout the year, do
no
people
money.
pay? Some people get it for free.
Yeah, okay, this is our drive. Our audience, because before theater was always in the city. Now we've gone to a community.
Decentralize it.
Yeah, we decentralized. Of course, when we set up the premises through a big loan, for a salary loan, we thought that people are going to be excited. That's not it. People from COVID, even them funding themselves is the problem. So with our 52 plays, we said we are going to do free theater for the whole year. All 52 plays are free. Why? Because we need to create a culture of consuming what we do. And we are thinking that, which is already showing fruits, that by the end of the year, it's going to be a religion in our area there, because we have consistent people who come all the time to watch our plays. When you say, there's a time when we had power go off, and we want to record all our plays, and the camera was not there. So when power went off, we said, God, thank God, the power has gone off. So we don't have to do the show because we are not going to record it. Then the audience said, no, we'll bring torch if you want. We'll bring torch. Do the show. Do the show. So we said, power has gone. They sat through. So I told guys, start removing those things very quickly because power might come back. And power came back in 15 minutes, but we had already removed the lights. Now you see things are off. So, but there's already an interest that is building amongst the audience. So next year we feel that, and also this is an experimental period for us. We want to see in the 52 plays, which are the plays that people are responding to. What are they like? And we already have now a kind of feeling of the kind of plays we want to do the whole of next year, which we can then do over 1 month and do it properly, attract a bigger audience. But the culture is already there, that now there are people who insist, if you don't act, you wasted my time. I put the weekend I'm supposed to be with you. And that's the drive. So beyond that, we are always having to collect between us, bring money for the electricity, so that the lights can eat.
So it's still surviving through handouts.
And it's good. I think we feel we own.
There's
We
ownership.
feel we own the process. I'm not doing what you want, I'm doing what I want. I owe you nothing.
Because sometimes funding comes with agendas. You do as I say if you need the money. This is our agenda, you follow it or you don't. So respect to you. That's we saw. Oh, Zanula.
So next year and then charge people to come.
Yeah, we will charge next year. And the audience, they're also not foolish. They also see us struggle. They also see us struggle. And so the spirit is already coming. We don't want to start this year though. The spirit is already coming for them to want to contribute. Yeah, but we don't want this year, it's next year.
What if somebody just wants to contribute this year?
But not at the gate.
Okay, all right. Makes sense. You laughed so much today, huh?
Yeah.
Yes, laughter is the best medicine.
Well,
Tell us from,
I suppose my child is back.
Ah, that's nice.
So you have to laugh. I think the organization I work for, Jazz Art, is, I would say they're very fortunate at the moment. They were celebrating 50 years last year.
Yep.
Jazz Art is now 51 years old. And so there was a bit of funding that came through because of that celebration, you know, that couple of shows. But there's still a challenge somewhere. And one of the biggest challenges that we have when it comes to funding in the country is the kind of ministers they employ to run this department. They do not understand what we do.
Yeah.
And not only the ministers, even the president himself does not understand. So we don't have somebody who fights for the art in parliament.
Okay.
And at 1 year, I think it was still Thabo Mbeki, the president, when one of the parliamentarians stood up and said, why are we wasting money on the art? And our minister at that time did not defend us.
Wow.
Said nothing. And now, during COVID, there was some money, I'm sure people heard about, I don't know how many billions of rands that came to South Africa. And some of the money from our department, from Arts and Culture, was taken away to COVID. Other departments never lost anything, but the arts is the one that lost.
Wow.
And of course, there are always those money that goes under the tables.
Of course.
Our current minister, okay, we have a new minister now, but before, the one from last year, he actually quit after it was found out that he was corrupt. He took 1 point something million, and the government took him back. He's a member of the parliament. I'm like, what's going on? This is the Minister of Arts and Culture. So in my country, when they want to get rid of you, they give you the post of Minister of Arts and Culture. That means you now, you're on your way out. Most of the ministers that we get are people that are on their way out.
Wow.
And these are people who don't understand what's happening in the art. Or they only have one agenda. You know, beginning during Mandela, we had a minister who was only focusing on choral music and traditional, he was Zulu, so most traditional Zulu stuff or any traditional stuff. Then we had another one who was more into literature. We've never had a minister who loves acting, who loves dancing. And we always suffer. And other people get, but you know, listening to you guys, I think, yeah, we're slightly better. We are slightly better, must be honest on that one. It's just that the pool of the bucket is getting small. We have a lot of dancers who wants to, and there are not a lot of companies. That's another challenge. We need to find a way of how to work together. Like, let's collaborate and then we get the money. But when you get that money, it's peanuts. Now we need to share that money. I do have my own project in KZN. It's been running for 4 years. I've never received funding. I just said to myself, I'm going to do it without funding, and it's been running without funding.
Just like Philip.
It's in the rural areas.
Ubumuntu.
I've had
Just like
shows.
Ubumuntu.
I've had free shows, and people come because it's free. And I have to buy to make sure that there's food for them to come in. So the village come in, and I don't blame them. They don't understand. They will never understand until it is shown on television. At the moment, soccer is the big thing. And everybody, including the grandfather and the 2-year-old, understands soccer. But no one understands art. Unless it's a series that is playing every night, Generations or Mubango, you know, those television series. Dance, when you say art, they say, so when are you getting a real job? No, I'm an actor. No, a real job.
Exactly.
So I've been in the arts for 37 years, dancing. You know, my family, they're still asking me, so when are you getting a job? I'm like, guys, you know that I have a home, I've got kids, but you know, just doing gumboot dance and pansula, I said that's what pays your bill. So it's a biggest challenge for me is not having a minister who understands what we do. And a country is a country because of its culture. And culture is everything that we are here doing.
Exactly. Very powerful. Very powerful. For the sake now, our time is very limited. One last question that I would like to ask. Not ask, but what is the future you're hoping for? It can be individual, it can be your country, it can... What future are you hoping for? Are you dreaming of within your trade? Of course, not radical, of course, I know. The future you want to see.
Can I afford to dream? But I think I have a positive outlook on this. I have a positive outlook. I always think, for me, that our biggest problem here in East Africa, generally East Africa, when you think about Kenya, Rwanda, Uganda, South Sudan, Congo, I don't know about Congo, but our biggest problem is art leadership. Art leadership. And art leadership, I'm not saying that us who are running companies, it is what the government, because the government,
policymakers.
At policy level, those are the custodians of culture. They are custodians of who we are, how we express ourselves, what we think, the image of ourselves outside there, because that's the big photograph of the country. And we represent that photograph. We represent, we are the custodians of communal wisdom. What people are talking about, it's us who curate that. So I believe the government needs to be very interested in who they put at the top to represent them in nurturing art. The same problem he has said. Because very many times people who are sent to art, they are sent to lead art as political appointees, political gift. Because that guy is a fool, but he needs to do something.
He's got the numbers.
Youth and culture. Youth and culture. Let him go there and dance. He will not disturb us from there. So you find an idiot running something that is representing the image of the entire country. And I know and I believe that especially with this wave that has gone to Kenya, where youth are looking for ways to alternatively express all things that would have been expressed in song, things that would have been expressed in dance a long time ago, things that would have been expressed in theater a long time ago, they are now being expressed through stones. Through phone. People are doing their art still. And so I have a feeling that in our region, and it's a very positive vibe that in our region people, the leadership is now seeing that this sector where of people expressing themselves is very important. This sector of people expressing themselves reflects what's going to come. And it becomes a security issue for you to ignore art and culture. It's a security issue because you need also to be in our minds to know what we are thinking, to be able to, well, for lack of a better word, manipulate us towards something. And I think they are becoming wiser. And with this kind of wisdom, because for us we grew in a time when art and culture was well respected, but our children have not. So you can see even our children, when they have become angry, for us we were able to talk, to make theater that is critical. Our children have not been exposed to that. Our children were talking in the mental health thing about the kind of music they are making. And the country getting excited over that music instead of saying this is a symptom that needs to be responded to. And I think, speaking for Uganda, I think they are going to see that. And if it changes, this thing is going to become organic in its own way. Once the top is responsive, giving opportunity to those people, to the villages to sing, create a space. We have theater in Uganda. We have only one theater space.
Wow.
Realistically, there's only one professional theater space.
Wow.
The National Theater. There is no other space other than now what we have, what other people might. If you have so many other small spaces like we have throughout Uganda, then you're going to have people coming up, art coming up, and people earning a living, because art thrives on competition. The more of us doing the same thing, the more people become curious to see you, and then that circle goes on.
Yeah.
I am kind of
You remain positive.
optimistic that
All right.
they are seeing the strategic need
All right.
to invest in art and culture.
Thank you, Philip. Sister Hope.
There is now a lot of talk of creative industries right now in this country, and my prayer is that it transitions from just slogans to reality, versus just talking about it. And at least that gives me some ray of hope, because nobody used to talk about art. Those things that hopes do, those things where they're just doing things like this, and it's like those things.
Yeah.
But now they'd be realizing the impact those things have on young people, so just the fact that they're just talking about it, and you have like a stakeholders meeting, and you have banks meeting, artists talk about how even artists can access loans and things like that, loans that don't ask you to bring your house or land or anything, or something friendly. At least that's good.
Step in the right direction.
Yeah, that's good, and let's see where this goes.
Awesome.
And allow me to reiterate
Yeah. Go ahead.
that it is very dangerous for the state to allow art to exist only in the phone. Because that unregulated space is a very dangerous
Medium.
space.
Yeah.
Let
And
art
space
come
and
out of these small spaces. And because once something comes out, even whether you arrest me or not, it's already out, and a consciousness has already been created around it. And this is now where art is. This is where young people are dancing. This is where young people are mimicking each other. This is where young people are telling poems. This is dangerous. I can do art in my bedroom. It's a good thing, yes. But you need now to pull me out. It's a security issue, strategic importance.
Very
to
important.
pull these young people out of their phones, get them to meet, create spaces where they meet, where they exchange ideas, where they make themselves wiser, where they sift through what they are going to create before. And then when I go back home, even when I create something, I know it is part of a peer conversation I have had. But as long as they remain apathetic and leave art
in the device.
They better put money.
That's that's a gap we identified, and we said we need to start talking about art, science, and tech. So how can we involve these cream kids? Because the kids who performed last night among the smartest kids between 14 and what age, Brian?
16,
Between 14 and 16. They are the cream of everything. They can create anything dangerous. So we're like, let's balance it with art, and that's why we gave them a platform. Guys, what is art in your life? And they've been doing things, and they've said they've never had any experience like that, because they're just like robots. They're just they're coming from a coding academy. I know they're coding art. How nice! So art, I think, still has that magic to make people human more.
Very true. Very true. Zen.
I think it's the same, so just hoping that the government will be able to see more the value of the arts. So we've been doing it for so many years, but then still they come on and say, we could use it as an alternative teaching method. And we're like, but we've been doing that for years, but there's no money, there's still not enough money going into it. But it's got the benefits for mental health, but then also the physical. So I work with older people who are 80, 90-year-olds. If they fall and break their hip, to go into NHS, that's a lot of money that you have to spend to stay in there fixing the hip. Yet this programme has been proved that if you can give these classes to older people, use physiotherapy exercises with dance, they maintain their strength, their flexibility, and then less falls, less money for the NHS. So
dance therapy.
Thinking about preventing things, like preventing mental health problems, preventing falls, rather than spending twice as much or 3 times as much when it actually happens.
Awesome. So are we saying, correct me if I'm wrong, are we saying policymakers are ignorant to knowing that, to accept that art is the way forward, or they are just sidelining art? Is it a political move or it's a personal move?
From what I really find it hard, art is a spiritual, it's a spirit. You can't touch music, you can't weight like 2 kilograms of sugar equal to this price. So it needs you to go beyond what you can feel like this and go deeper. It needs deep thinkers, to understand the impact of art. Because art is a very hidden force. It's a force.
Yeah.
And people, just because it's not there, you paint, and people don't know where it came. People don't know
Yeah.
that there's a language coming from, and they're not paying attention to it.
Yeah.
So people just need to be careful. Just because it's not physically like this bottle, but if they realize that even what the houses we build, we live in art.
Yes,
themselves.
yes.
Life is art.
Yeah.
That's what they call it. Life is art. Everything is
It's art, yes, yeah.
But they think art is just a hobby, it's something, you know.
So there's an element of ignorance
I think so.
and misplaced priorities.
For me, at first what I thought, for a long time, which is what had disillusioned me, was the feeling that it was strategically intended to keep people uncritical. Because you become critical when people are consuming and relating with art, they become critical. They see the world in a different way. They're able to express alternatively. So like in Uganda, you find literature is not compulsory. Literature is optional. Now, literature, not only in English, but literature in Luganda, literature in Acholi, literature in Kiswahili, literature in anything, that should be compulsory. Our forefathers saw it as necessary for people to be able to communicate. Communication was central to how we studied traditionally. But now you find the modern world is telling you literature is optional. So you go in a whole, out of like 10 schools, you find only 10 students doing literature. Something that should be compulsory, because it's how you express yourselves as other people. So what happens, what's the result of that is that we are not building a market for art, and we are not building a market. You see, people need to be learned, to be taught early to consume. People need to be taught early that this is an alternative language, that your body says so many things. Yeah? But now you find people fighting because you say, why did you beat him? He did this. He did this to me. Of course, you might know, everyone might know it's an insult, but you would have had also a response to it. So, for me, I thought it was, because I always thought government employs the most intelligent people who should be able to see it. that instead of buying tear gas, instead of buying canes, instead of buying rubber bullets, let us invest in people studying literature. Let us invest in getting people to dance. So that, because I remember in the 80s, growing up in Nairobi, one of the big estate battles was breakdance. When we had issues with an estate, you'd go with the radio,
Protest dance.
yeah. Then they also come and take the space. And they win you. When they win you, the battle is over. You go back home shaking your head, what happened? You should have moved like this. But now we got embarrassed, and you plan for the next battle. So that was our alternative. No breaking windows, no what. So I am thinking, and I am hoping, and if they are listening, it is strategic importance to make people critical again and give them an avenue. It's the same thing like chasing a rat into a corner and not giving it an escape route. It's not a good thing to come back. So escape route is, give me a chance to dance, give me a chance to paint, give me a chance to sing, give me a chance to poetry, give me a chance to do everything else other than say, right now you have doctors who can't talk. You go, the doctor tells you, you have malignant. Say, but my grandmother told me that it was a curse. What is wrong with you? Why? Because this is a person who has not been taught to communicate. Literature was optional. Whether you're a scientist, an engineer, you should be able to self-express, and it should be mandatory, policy-wise, for people to learn how to express themselves.
Very true.
It shouldn't be optional.
Thank you very much.
I don't think they understand that it's not just about creating, like I said, it's not about creating artists, it's not just about creating professional dancers or singers, it's those transferable skills that young children can access from very early age to be able to do all sorts of jobs and work.
Interesting. Brother Sfiso.
I would like to see in the future where the schools, art is taken seriously, because that's where our future is young people. Now in South Africa we have it is compulsory now to do creative art after grade 6 up to matric, until you finish school. However, the challenge we have is that the teachers don't know how to teach art. They teaching it through the books. Okay, now you're doing this. That says you must go and draw your parents. They have no idea how to draw. The teachers themselves. When it comes to dancing, they just say, there was an advert on television about the aromats, some kind of salts that we have. And the teacher just took the kids on top of the drum and said, copy that on television.
Wow.
And she marked those kids. Get there. And I'm there. So in my village, I said to them, guys, I'm available. And I just left Cape Town because of COVID. I'm available. I can come and teach for you guys. What do you have? You know, I need to get paid. No, we don't have money. And yet the person who's teaching that subject doesn't know how to teach it. I don't know how the kids passed. And when I told them I had DVDs of my work, of jazz art, I Greg Makoma, most of the people, even on the book, that's the book they studied, the jazz art is written there. We've got a famous work called Bolero, which the kids are supposed to learn. And I'm there to teach those kids. They won't employ me because I don't have the degree as a teacher from the college. So they ignore the experience. They only go for paper. And paper does not teach. You have people like Mbongeni Ngema, the late Mbongeni Ngema in South Africa, never went to varsity. And the man has a movie, Sarafina, has done amazing productions. We had Silo Makeka Ngube. Those guys have done amazing work. They didn't go to top universities. In fact, our top actors are people who actually who are self-taught. Those are our top actors. Because the varsity, it gives you a foundation. You do research, you're able to do research. But you don't, that experience, you don't have it. Everything been learning it here. The self-taught actors, you guys are amazing. They are amazing. It just, they're born with it. And the industry, the education industry is not tapping onto this talent. The guys come and assist us because they don't want to pay. It's not regarded as, no, we're not going to pay you for what? We're doing this. I grew up doing this. Why must I pay you?
Because it's not a job.
It's not a job. If our government can be educated or they maybe employ artists. I've never seen an artist become a minister. Someone who really understands what we're going through. And one of the things that perhaps I would love to see is more collaborations between countries. We know, and what stops us is I cannot, for instance, next year comes another Ubumuntu festival. It might be difficult to get funding from the National Arts Council in South Africa to come here because they're not benefiting. See what I mean? You need to go to the British Council that actually understands what you're doing here.
That values the work.
That values the art. You know, your council, no, that money must stay here. They forget that they're sending me as a South African to come to this side.
It's an ambassador.
And exactly. And just one example, at some stage when I went to, don't go, you're going to get arrested there. I said, do you guys remember during apartheid who was supporting us? It's all these African countries. When South Africa needed people, Tanzania, Malawi, these are countries that housed our politicians. And now that we have everything, people are saying, no, don't go to them. It's a problem that we have. I don't know what's going on. We are, just because we've got this democracy, we're different. No, just leave them. They must deal with their own crap.
Problems.
No, we didn't get that democracy just on our own. There were people who sacrificed their families, people who housed our grandfathers in order to get that freedom. True that. And so the government really needs to play a big part in this, in allowing us to collaborate with other African countries.
Thank you very much. Time is not on our side. I'll just take any 2 questions from the audience, if there are any. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. And to our guests, Philip Luswata, Hopa Zeda, Zenula Estreliades, Sfiso Kweyama, and my name is Brian Geza, Ubumuntu for Life. Thank you very much. We're done.
But how do you ask sad people questions?
That's the only way we can bring laughter.